Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike. Of course, I got another review for you. Um, this image, Frontiersmen #1. This is cover B, variant cover. Um, let's see, Words. It says Words by Patrick Kindlon, art by Marco Ferrari, letters by Jim Campbell, and cover by Marco Ferrari. This cover by Matteo Scalera. Sorry if I mispronounce any of the names. Bad with names. Okay, so a different type of book and a different kind of description. It was a good book, I can say that. The art is stellar, the writing is phenomenal. But how it's different, the whole first issue is basically build up of an ongoing series, which by no means is nothing bad. But if you are looking in, getting into this book for extreme action or, because I was pulled into the art, the cover, everything that's going on. The little bit that I've seen from the comic, like his costume and stuff like that, had me interested enough, and it looked kind of action-packed, but I had no idea what the book was about. But let's get into it, and then I'll talk about it a little after. So it does start out, and it's a conversation. We find out later on it's with the Frontiersman and another individual that we do run into later on in the book. But we are seeing a robot entering the forest, and as soon as it does, we are met by our main character, the Frontiersman, and he quickly dispatches the robot. The person on the other line asking him what's going on and why you destroy this robot, and he basically explains that there was an inventor, that they created a bunch of these robots. He's not sure if the guy is still alive or maybe had the fortune to turn into a robot himself, but if not, he's probably dead, and the robots are just in AI mode. He does, there is some back and forth conversation with the operator, basically stating, hey, have you ever tried peaceful measures with the robots, that kind of thing. And he states that he has, and that the one time that he tried, he was knocked so hard he peed blood the next day. But he basically states that he's killing the robot for two reasons. One, it entered his territory of the unknown, where his kind of a lair, you could say, but really it's just a cabin in the woods. But basically, the thing entered its territory, and the unpredictableness of the robots, that it could come to harm him, kind of thing. So he gets rid of it. But he also uses them for parts, saves them for trips on going into town, that kind of stuff. He does go back to the cabin, and as soon as he goes back to the cabin, we kind of, get the story injector person. We run into a character that he thinks is an assassin or something like that, trying to, break into his secret lair in the cabin. But we find out that it's just an environmentalist that is actually trying to recruit him for a cause to save a bunch of redwood trees. The reason that he's coming to him is because he is the frontiersman. His real name is something else, and I don't recall his real name. I don't know if they stated enough for me to remember it. But he does come to requesting his aid because in the past this was a superhero. The book kind of has a lot of Watchmen vibes. The main story of Watchmen taking place in the past, and you trying to figure out what's going on in the present, type of thing. But it does have that type of feel that there was like all these superheroes running around battling various supervillains in like 50s to 70s regions, type of thing, and that's where Frontiersman kind of had his run when he was younger. And now this guy's a lot older, and he's not able to be the frontiersman based on just on age alone. But that doesn't mean he's not still a badass. I mean, we do see him burst through his window because he thought this guy was an assassin. for the most part, it's this guy trying to sell this idea of him becoming, the forefront of this, revolution, kind of against the government, because the government is the one, killing this forest, and the frontiersman, he's not an idiot either. He's asking all the right questions. Well, how come, you don't ask these people for help, or go, track down these superheroes? I'm not the only one around. And the guy making valid points as well. The guy's name is Dante. They say his name more than the main character. But Deontay does explain that it's just the millennial kind of way of thinking, that there are a lot of people that are into the cause of saving the world and nature and that kind of thing. But it's usually a temporary thing, like a fad. It happens, for like a moment, and they're into it hardcore, and then, they drop it just like everything else. And later on the line, they end up buying, diesel-powered trucks, and, they're kind of adding on to the destruction. We do learn that it's not exactly protecting the rainforest as you would think. They actually have a tree house built in the middle of these forests, so they can't just be, bulldozed down, as like if they were standing on the ground, chained to the trees. We do see it cuts over, and we kind of see the other end of the spectrum, the company side of it, kind of finding out that this nature protest faction kind of group has kind of gone out and started looking for heroes to try and help them in their cause, whether it's with fighting or just being the mascot kind of thing. But the company kind of saying that that is something to look into, that they're not that worried about it, as long as they don't shine any press on that protest faction, that it'll eventually fizzle out, just like how he was explaining about the millennial fad thing. Eventually, our frontiersman does listen to the whole guy spiel and basically turns him down, stating that it's not really his fight anymore, that he kind of did his whole thing for helping people and the world and nature, and why he was a hero, and it's kind of like his time to retire and relax, and for other people to, kind of pick up that fight. And in the journey, as he's taking him into town, the Dante, he finally kind of mentions a piece of information that he should have in the beginning, but that he is under the tutelage. He goes to school under a old friend of the frontiersman, Dr. Umar, I think his name is, and supposedly Dr. Umar was frontiersman's kind of like sidekick, or maybe not sidekick, but maybe superhero best friend, kind of thing. They basically superheroed together back in the past. Now, of course, both of elderly age. They do show our new doctor friend, and he is quite old, just like the frontiersman. But they do end up meeting with each other and having a conversation. The doctor is quite taken aback that the frontiersman is not all on board, for the rally of these red trees, stating that he thought, the way he remembered the frontiersman, fighting for social injustice. But not only that, but as, in his younger days, the frontiersman actually stood up for, causes that, involve nature. I mean, his costume alone and his title, the frontiersman, you kind of assume that this guy might be involved in some nature preserving kind of thing. They do go into this, one of the, it's kind of like the only action scene you really get in the book, but they go into the past with, Dr. Umar and Frontiersman's journeys, and Frontiersman is telling him a story of something that stuck from a certain villain, and it's this villain right here. And basically they fought this villain, and he was basically able to, he used this ray that he would, blast on people, and basically it made their, it made them kind of enraged and get violent and stuff like that. And when they finally did catch him, the villain was was saying that he never really did anything wrong. That yes, he did shoot these guys with the ray, but it didn't physically harm them. But at the same time, all he really did was kind of nudge these people. He didn't say anything, didn't influence them any other way. And kind of just getting to the moral, dilemma that we humans face, that we are always, in that gray area, and we could easily go, good or bad kind of thing. And for some reason, that line that he heard from the villain kind of stuck with him for the rest of his life, and it picked up meaning, as the years went on. We do finally meet after he gets done with the, talking with the doctor. He goes back into town and he stops at a grocery store, which is Pinewood Grocery. Pinewood is the town that this all takes place in. But we do meet the other end of that, the radio conversation that happened in the beginning of the book, and we do meet Claire, and Claire is the Frontier, it seems like his only friend, because in the beginning of the book he's talking to her on cell phone or earpiece or something like that. They never show what they're communicating with. But he kind of tells her about the whole, opportunity that he has, and maybe a opportunity for good or bad, and kind of lays it out for her. And she kind of is against it. She's like, no bro, you did your time, you were a superhero, you help people, you help me, and a lot of that kind of stuff. And she goes more into the whole thing that people do kind of use nature as a fad, oh, I want to help nature, and they do it for like 2-3 months, and then that's it. He goes home and he kind of iterates on something that he touched on before, about how it was his time to relax and retire, and he talked about wanting to catch up on reading, and he does, and he ends up just falling asleep, not even getting much reading done. And with that thought, he makes a decision on joining the cause, and they just show him talking to Claire on the phone, telling her thank you for her conversation and her advice, and her not understanding that he went against her advice, but she thanks him, and please, you're welcome, and that kind of thing. There is a extremely weird note from the editor that I would recommend reading, but I would really say pass on that. But jump to this right here, where they give you a whole bio on the doctor and who he was, and we learned that Professor Unicell was his superhero name. His real name was Khalid Umar, Dr. Umar, and basically he was kind of like this version's Ant-Man. Basically, in a strange way of events, he was granted the ability to shrink down to atomic size, basically. Not so much in the way of giant man. He can't really go super big. He basically states that if he does try and go big, that it has weird ramifications. But there is a twist to his, like when he goes down to that atomic state, he actually gets closer to a bacteria or something like that. His skin grows translucent and more amoeba bacteria type of thing, which is kind of unique and cool if you think about it. Okay, so back to what I started in the very beginning of this review on this first issue and how to look on it. This is kind of like your long con, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way. The first issue is just basically story meat, and I really do see this becoming a big title. If they continue it on, kind of like Spawn or something like that, it could go on for a long time. And I think that's what they're doing right here. They're asking you to kind of be patient, take the story for what it is. They kind of got all the IBALs and dotted the I's in the beginning, and the second book looks like it's going to be straight action. There is a little tease at what's coming, and something about that that the Frontiersman, that he was a great superhero, but he always had kind of one problem, and it's of the supernatural and magic variety. And they said in the second issue that that is the first villain that's coming is of those varieties. So if you do manage to pick this up, read it, enjoy it, I mean, or don't enjoy it, your opinion, but don't judge it on don't drop it after the first book kind of thing. They do stress that they do have a massive plan lined out for this book. So I would suggest at least making it probably to the first arc, which will probably be like 4 or 5 issues, would be my expertise on the matter. But for our first issue, it was a really good read. I wouldn't say it was the best read. It's not. But the art is stellar. The writing is good. The comedy that's in it is nice. But we'll really have to see, issues 2, 3, 4, see how this book gets going. But Frontiersman #1, I would say give it a read. That's my video. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye.